Stormcaller is by far my favorite subclass, and I started off my little Destiny career in 2017 as a Stormcaller main. I Palpatined it up, I tickle-fingered my way into Destiny history, and here I am today to share my favorite build with you. Now, a couple of comments before we move further, because I know there's going to be some questions. There has to be some questions about this. Chaos Reach is an alternative super, and you can use this exact same build for Chaos Reach, and it'll be fun. It's a great roaming build. You're still going to get your abilities up, not quite as fast because the exotic we're using for this build today is way better for abilities, but it's pretty interchangeable. So, like, if you're in a situation where you need to quickly, like, swap things out, like Gambit, for example, go ahead and do it. It's no problem. The other thing I want to comment on is the Fallen Sunstar exotic, which was just recently released. It is designed to give you your abilities back faster with ionic traces. It is pretty cool. I do actually have a Chaos Reach roaming build with this because honestly, if you're doing a DPS build, you still need to use Geomags for Chaos Reach. But this is really good for like ad clearing stuff and then getting like those big bursts of DPS. But when it comes to using a roaming super and for getting the rapid ability regen, nothing is as good as Crown of Tempests. So let's start here before we move on into the subclass information. The perk of this helmet is Conduction Tines. Arc ability or Jolt final blows increase the recharge rate of your arc abilities and extend the duration of Storm Trance. Sometimes it's annoying how long Storm Trance will last, but I mean, come on, you have a super long super. It's great for things like Gambit. Like, highly recommend this build for Gambit. It's amazing. Just great, get a great heavy for DPS, and you're going to have your abilities up like constantly. It's great. Onto the subclass. Like I said, we are using Storm Trance, otherwise known as Tickle Fingers or Palpatine. Chain arc lightning from your hands to electrify targets with devastating streams of arc light that intensify over time. Casting Storm Trance creates a shock wave underneath you. Now, the one thing I keep forgetting, because this was on the opposite tree of the Arc Soul tree in version 2 of Arc, you do have your teleport. And I keep forgetting what button it is because I never use it. But for keyboard warriors, it's the shift key unless you change it. Get used to using it. It's pretty powerful, especially in PvP. And I need to really practice using it. Like I said, I keep forgetting it's even there. And I don't really need it too much for what I do, but it could be useful at times. On to the abilities. I use Healing Rift all the time, and I often regret it if I don't have it. I think there's one exception. I use Phoenix Dive for one, but I really enjoy playing more aggressively with Warlock, so having a Healing Rift really saves me. But no matter which Rift you choose, they will both work. Strafe Glide, this is my favorite jump. It gives you precision jumping. It's very easy to use. Yes, you can jump cancel. Just hit your jump button again. I've heard people don't know that you can jump cancel, and that's one of the reasons they hate Warlock jump so much. But you also have two other jumps that you can pick from. I don't need to comment on these. For people who know how to use these, I just don't need to comment on them. But if you are really bad at Warlock jumping, use Strafe Glide. It is a point-and-click adventure, really easy to use. I will get a jumping video out soon, I promise. Chain Lightning. This is the melee, an extended range melee that jolts your target and chains lightning to nearby enemies. While amplified, it creates an additional set of chains. This melee is ridiculous. So let's talk about our first perk, Amplified. Your movement speed and weapon handling are greatly increased. After sprinting for a short time, your movement speed is further increased. Like, you will go so fast. It's so cool. Rapidly defeating targets with arc damage makes you amplified. Pretty much my favorite thing to do, like immediately when I go into an encounter, is chuck a grenade and kill something. Boom, you're amplified. You're good to go. You're going to do a ton of damage, and your arc souls are going to destroy things. We'll talk about that more later. Storm Grenade, a grenade that calls down a focus lightning storm. Now, look, use whatever grenade you want. There's so many options. I used to always use Arc Bolt. I love Arc Bolt. It's really fun, but Storm Grenade can be really ridiculous for extra damage. I like to use this against raid bosses. This build is great for raids, by the way, guys. It's great for ad clearing, and it's great for chaos encounters. Aspects, we have Electrostatic Mind. Defeating targets with arc abilities or defeating jolted or blinded targets creates an ionic trace. Now, this goes with that other exotic helmet that I was talking about earlier, but you can still benefit from ionic traces with this build. Collecting an ionic trace will make you amplified. So we already talked about what amplified is. The ionic trace is a bolt of pure arc energy that travels along the ground, seeking towards its creator. When picked up, ionic traces grant ability energy. So those are their super narrow arc beams that start gravitating towards you when you're out there in the wilds. I had no idea what those were for a while whenever I used Chaos Reach, because I wasn't a Chaos Reach main, but now I know. Jolted, the target is chained with destructive arc light. As they take additional damage, while jolted, they chain lightning to nearby targets. This is just stupid for ad clearing. Always, like, jolted is really the one thing that you should really heavily focus on for your arc builds, because it's just stupid. Blind combatants are disoriented and cannot fire their weapons. Opposing players' HUD is removed and their vision is obscured. Arc Soul, an electric eel poised for attack. I had no idea that, what? It's an eel? Like, really? That is so weird. Okay, really? Did they just come up with that, or were they always eels? I don't like eels, but I love Arc Souls. Okay, cast your rift to create an Arc Soul that fires at targets in front of you. Allies can pass through your rift to get an Arc Soul. Your rift charges faster when allies are near. While amplified, your Arc Souls are supercharged and gain increased fire rate. Onto the fragments. I'm starting with Spark of Resistance. While surrounded by combatants, you are more resistant to incoming damage. I highly recommend this, especially if you're diving into combat to get above a boss for using your landfall for your super. This is really useful. I mean, this is a very close range build, so every little bit helps. On to Spark of Shock. Your arc grenades jolt targets. This is why I like to chuck them at everything. If you're doing boss DPS, just keep chucking those grenades every time they come up. Spark of Focus. After sprinting for a short time, your class ability regeneration is increased. I have no complaints about that. And then Spark of Amplitude. Rapidly defeating targets while you are amplified creates an orb of power. Now, one comment about that. I do have Harmonic Siphon on this build, and if I didn't have the minor recovery mod, I would put a second Ashes to Assets on. I'm going to tell you right now, you don't need a Siphon with how many orbs you'll be generating with this build, unless you're that kind of person who sits back and just shoots everything. But if you're here to just murder everything with abilities, go ahead and do a second Ashes to Assets. That would be great. I mean, if you don't need the extra general armor mod, which I do. I'm still working on getting some good armor combos. I get really bad drops. Everything drops where I don't want it. So I rely heavily on the armor mods. Feel free to check out my armor stats guide for Destiny 2 builds. Link is in the description below. If you want to learn more about these character stats and how to actually put an armor set together, what all of these mean, and where you want to invest. The last thing I want to comment on is that there are a ton of these down here that will give you more grenade energy or more melee energy, whatever. You don't need them. You simply don't need them. Just follow my guide to put the right mods on the right pieces of armor, and you're going to have constant abilities. First and foremost, this is a grenade build, meaning every single thing you do, whether it's putting down a rift, meleeing something, shooting something, everything you do is going to produce something that charges your grenade ability. So let's do a quick overview of the three main abilities. We have the grenade, we have the melee, and we have the rift. So when you chuck that grenade and you get in a limb, that's going to drop an elemental well. When you pick up the elemental well, you are then going to get charged with you're going to get a stack of charged with light. That's what you're getting. Now, since you're dropping an arc well, and you pick that up, you're going to get 2 stacks of charged with light. That in turn will allow you to get back some of your grenade energy immediately when you throw your grenade. You don't even have to get a kill. The charge with light mod will just give it to you. Now the middle column has impact induction, that's the gray mod, and when you melee something, that gives you back some of your grenade energy. It doesn't even have to be a charged melee. It doesn't have to be a kill. You just melee something, smack it in the face, you get a little bit of grenade energy. There is a hidden cooldown timer. I think it's like 3 to 5 seconds. I can't remember, but just if you need a little bit more grenade energy, just smack it in the face again and you should have it. The final row is the healing rift. When you have bomber on your class item, whenever you put a rift down, that will give you a little bit of grenade energy. So as you can see, every single ability somehow feeds the grenade. It gives you energy back. So you really have no excuse for not having high grenade uptime. The next thing I want to show you is the importance of the grenade and exactly what it does in this build. So again, we have that top row where I'm showing how you get the charge with light stack, and then basically just throwing your grenade gives you more grenade energy. The middle row, I have the elemental charge in there just to show you that you do need to be charged with light. When you are charged with light and you secure a grenade elimination, you get healed. You get healed quite a bit. That is a great perk to have. So that's why we have like the little, that is the charge with light mod that gives you grenade healing. And then of course we have our health at the end. And then in the final row, when you throw a grenade and you get in a limb, you get super energy back. And the more kills you get, the more super you get. It's pretty nice. And finally, the last major feature of this build are Orbs of Power. Now, if you're playing with friends, they will probably be producing a lot of orbs for you. And I do have the siphon on the helmet in this build just to produce my own orbs, because these really bring a great added benefit. So, of course, when you pick up an Orb of Power, it's going to give you super energy, as I'm showing in the bottom row. In the middle row, though, and both of these perks that we have here, both of the armor mods are on the legs. Always think of the legs as the healing armor piece, and you'll see that there are themes with different armor pieces. So the middle row there, when you pick up an Orb of Power, you get half of your health back instantly, and this is why I like solar legs, because it's instant. There's no regeneration that can be interrupted. The top one is Absolution. When you pick up an Orb of Power, it feeds all of your ability. So as we know from the bottom row, we already get super energy back from an orb, but with this mod, you're going to get a little bit of grenade energy, a little bit of melee energy, and a little bit of rift energy. Starting with the helmet, we have Ashes to Assets, and then we have Arc Siphon, so definitely slap on that Arc weapon in your energy slot to drop those orbs with kills. And in the final column, we have Firepower. That's giving you back a little bit of your grenade energy each time you chuck a grenade. Just a quick note, all of these armor pieces, except for the chest armor, must be solar, because the general combat armor mods we're using are all only on solar armor. On the arms, we have double impact induction to get a little bit of extra grenade energy with our melees. And then in the final slot, we have elemental charge to give us those charge with light stacks. The chest armor, now this can be any elemental type. There really aren't any great mods on the chest armor as far as options go for the general combat mods, but this is where you're going to have your sniper resistance and your concussive dampener. Sniper, you can do double sniper, you can do arc resistance, you can do solar resistance. In fact, it's fine to have one of each energy type in your inventory in case you're going into an activity where, let's say you need protection from arc snipers, then go ahead and put that arc resistance on there and put on a sniper mod. If you're taking a lot of AoE damage, concussive dampener can be your friend, and you can even double up on that. Elemental Ordnance is in the final slot. That is what is going to drop our elemental well when we get grenade kills. On the legs, we have Absolution and Recuperation. Absolution will feed all 3 abilities and your super when you pick up an Orb of Power, and then Recuperation is what's going to give you half of your health back when picking up that Orb of Power. And then we have Heal Thyself in the final slot. That is what is going to heal you further with those grenade kills. Finally, on the class item, we have Double Bomber to get extra grenade energy when we put our Rift down, and then Supercharged. I like having Supercharged on almost all of my builds because that will allow me to get up to 4 stacks of Charged with Light. And guys, you're going to need that. You don't ever want to worry about running out of Charged with Light because that could mean that you might not heal when you need it. It could mean you won't have a grenade. And that's the build. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you'd like to support this channel, liking and commenting on the videos tells YouTube to share these videos with others who may find them useful. If you'd like to provide monetary support to help keep this channel up and running, visit my locals and subscribe star communities.